In this video, we're going over what'll happen to the US if we don't get our housing crisis figured out, how you could live in the forest like Snow White, and my dream of living with an indigenous Norwegian tribe. But first, let's start with Portland. Portland is a city in northern Oregon that's known for its quirkiness. But don't take my word for it, let's let the locals tell it.
We have a reputation.
People are not afraid to stand out here.
Anything goes.
I'm 51 and I still do handstands on these skateboards.
Own sense, its own style, its own way. I kind of think that the weird part about Portland is the fact that there's so many other people from different parts of the country that come here.
You definitely can't help but like stare a little bit, but you don't want to be rude, so you try not to.
He's got cilantro in his backpack. I mean, sticking out of his backpack. How cool is that?
You know, and having cilantro in your backpack really is like a fun, quirky thing. In Baltimore growing up, people just had guns in their backpacks. Anyway, Portland has also been in the news recently for its crime. And the crime in Portland is kind of quirky too. Check out this man that was just having some trouble finding directions.
Oh my God!
In the video, you see Mecham frustrated, stuck in traffic due to road closures clearing the way for Portland's Grand Floral Parade. His anger boiling over.
They got it all blocked off! The Lloyd Center exit, the Convention Center exit, every motherfucking exit! You bum!
Mecham then plowing through traffic cones and blowing past crews blocking a highway exit ramp. Bystanders sent running as the Chevy Avalanche lumbers onto the parade route. Thankfully, no one was injured.
And that whole situation actually seems very traumatizing, but I don't really think it's a big deal on his part. He's just being a Libra. And also, if you're a fan of smut, the city of Portland has the most strip clubs per capita in the US. And even during the pandemic, when clubs had to shut down, club owners found a way to keep the magic alive.
Hey, you want burgers, fries, and now beers? And you want two gorgeous women to come deliver it for you wearing booty shorts and pasties? We're bringing the party to you because you can't bring the party to us. My name is Sean Bolden. I'm the owner of Lucky Devil Lounge, and now I'm the new owner of Boober Eats PDX. We are now a food delivery service that provides customers with food with a side of boobs.
The creativity of some people is really just amazing, because if I was an out-of-work club owner, I would just become a pimp. And strip clubs in Portland are an institution, one where it's not just divorced, depressed men that show up. A Friday night out with friends could be a trip to the strip club. And why stop there with friends? Maybe I'll bring my pastor, and after Bible study, let's all hit the strip club. But Portland is also experiencing an incredible homelessness crisis. From 2015 to 2023, homelessness in the city grew by 65%, going from around 1,900 people to around 6,300 people. And many of these homeless people live in illegal campsites. These campsites are clusters of houseless people living in either tents, RVs, or trailers. These encampments can be found on city property or in residential areas right next to actual homes. And their proximity to these homes have really pissed a few of the neighbors off.
Just days after we met with the neighbors and the street was cleared, RVs parked again. That was followed by these people, dressed in black, showing up in the neighborhood to show support for the homeless and leaving neighbors feeling intimidated.
You said you're not going to surrender.
I'm not. This is our home. We live here. We're not giving this up. We've got two little kids. If you would just see them one time walking down the street hand in hand, you would know why we're fighting for this.
And the homeowners interviewed in that segment originally empathized with the homeless and felt that they could share their area. But those neighbors became frustrated when things like drug deals began happening in their area. One person interviewed even said someone tried to get their son to go into a car with them. And so just like any homeowner would, they attempted to get the city to clean up the campsite, but the city is backed up with requests. Some of these campsites are eventually swept up every so often by the city, with the area being cleaned and the belongings of the homeless being stored in lockers for several days, but this quickly becomes a revolving door, and those campsites tend to go right back up again. In this clip, a homeless woman eloquently states the issue at hand.
We're human too, you know what I mean? We're just on hard times right now.
Medina Dewan was one of the people living in the camps.
And I felt bad for the neighbors because, the friend that I was coming over seeing was camped out in front of the house. So I'm like, not only are you guys bringing down the property damage, but this lady don't want to see the you know what I mean?
She tells us watching the city clear the site gives them no incentive to leave the area or go into shelter.
I mean, it's like, well, thank you for cleaning up the tampons and the booty juice and the, you know what I'm saying, the shaham shalom that's left on the ground. We appreciate that. But 2 seconds later, all that about to be back on the ground. You know what I mean? Because we don't have a place to stay. We're on drugs, and that's just what it is, you know?
And Medina's right. They don't have a place to go. Because the biggest contributor to Portland's homelessness crisis is the state of Oregon's affordable housing shortage. Oregon's current housing supply is short roughly 140,000 homes. And because of this limited housing stock, landlords are able to keep rents high. And this growth in the price of housing happened because Portland has experienced unprecedented population growth over the last 30 years, with the population increasing by 3% every year of the 90s. And the population continued to grow by approximately 100,000 people from 2005 to 2015. And in 2016, home prices in Portland grew faster than any other city in the United States. And while some of the people that had moved to Portland only came because of the Birkenstocks, many people came for some pretty cushy jobs. For example, computer components manufacturer Intel is the Portland area's largest employer, providing jobs for more than 15,000 people. Some other big employers in the city include Nike and several healthcare companies. You know what, and I think that really is a culture shock for the transplants, because imagine if you were some dude at MIT that got a job after graduation in Portland, and you literally get off the flight at the arrivals gate, and there's some dude riding a unicycle talking about the health benefits of eating cat food. That would at least make you think, man, was I cut out for the big city? But this rush of high-tech, high-earning yuppies drove up housing prices even more. So what has the city done so far about the issue? Well, the city has recently opened its first of 3 large-scale sanctioned homeless camps. Take a look.
In July, the city of Portland opened the first of 6 temporary alternative shelter sites. It's located in the Clinton Triangle off Southeast Powell Boulevard and Gideon Street.
We have the funding for the first 3 sites.
And while that is a step forward, the issue is that each site only fits 200 people. So when the first 3 sites are built, that's only 600 people taken off of the streets. That still leaves over 5,000 people still homeless in Portland. And the frustrating part is that the housing used to be there for them. In the late 19th century, Portland built what are called SROs, or single-room occupancies, for the many migrant laborers at the time. However, in the 1950s and 60s, Portland tore down these SROs to make way for higher-end housing and businesses. It's estimated that downtown Portland lost 2,000 rental units affordable to minimum wage workers between 1978 and 2015. So if they can't afford a home, and the affordable housing lists are backed up, and there's not enough room at the large-scale sanctioned homelessness camps, then where are they supposed to go? Well, one woman may have an idea.
Hi.
Yes.
We're here in Portland, Oregon. You're homeless. Tell me about it.
Okay, so when I was 13, my mom kicked me out. Well, it wasn't really my mom, it was my foster mom. And she kicked me out, so I've been traveling and living in the forest ever since.
If you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
One, to get out of here and go live in the forest, I guess.
Portland is a nature-loving city and is also an important city for the timber industry. This appreciation for nature and trees is emphasized through the Portland Timbers Major League Soccer team name and logo, or the giant Paul Bunyan statue in North Portland. So her desire to live in the forest is very understandable. However, the reality of living in the forest is actually quite difficult. If you wanted to live in the forest in America as a homeless person, one route would be through the public lands. These are the lands owned by the government, whether through the National Forest Service or the lands owned by the Bureau of Land Management. You're able to camp on public lands for up to 14 days, but then you have to move somewhere else. You can't stay in any one place permanently. And you can't really test your luck on the 14-day rule. These laws are strictly enforced. Brooks Roberts was a huge example of this. Just nearby in the Payette National Forest in Idaho, Brooks Roberts and his family had been living homeless in the National Forest for 3 years. In May, they were confronted by the U.S. Forest Service and a barrage of law enforcement that tried to arrest him for staying on public land longer than allowed. Brooks Roberts was shot, and the injury left him paralyzed from the waist down. Roberts is currently suing the federal government for $50 million. So now that we know that, I can't just live in the forest either. What am I supposed to do? Do you want me to, vaporize myself with a particle gun and then just float in the sky and live in the sky as, vapor waves? Well, you may not have to live as vapor waves. There may be hope for the city of Portland. Here's what the state of Oregon plans to do about all of this. Governor Tina Kotek has a goal of building 36,000 new housing units each year for the next decade, double the current housing production in the state. But we all can just say things. You know, I could say that in 2024, I'm going to stop eating Reese's peanut butter cups for breakfast, but we know that's not going to happen. In terms of what else the city of Portland is doing, they adopted what's called the inclusionary housing policy in 2017. This policy requires that all new apartment complexes with more than 20 units keep a certain percentage of those units affordable for low-income tenants. But this is an incredibly important issue, not just in Portland, but nationally. We need to make sure that all citizens have access to affordable housing, whether that's through renting or ideally owning their homes. Because if ordinary people can't afford the homes, then the people buying the homes will be mostly corporations. Wall Street has already purchased hundreds of thousands of single-family homes since the Great Recession, and they've been putting them up for rent, most of them located in the Sun Belt. And while institutional investors do not yet control a large market share in housing, analysts suggest that they could by 2030. But I think single-family homes should be for actual people, and they should be affordable. But that's just me. You know, but even if Portland figures out their housing situation and rents come down, I don't think I'm going to move to Portland. Because I have another place to go. When I get ready to move out of where I'm at right now, I'm not staying in the US. I'm going to Norway. And I'm going to live with the indigenous Sami tribe. And just live an easy life. Marry a Sami woman. Have like 9 kids. Hunt some reindeer. Share the bounty with my brothers. And just live good. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to go get a McDouble with mac sauce. Goodbye.